And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth. Who controls the past? Ran the party slogan. Controls the future. Who controls the present? Controls the past. By George Orwell, 1984. This picture by LM to me is sharing a valuable history lesson to correct the fallacies and also to demonstrate wars on indigenous Arabs. We start by saying there is no Middle East. It's all Africa. Whenever we deal with the Middle East, so-called Middle East or Arab issue or anything that has to do with Islam, we must be able to have this rallying call that there is no Middle East. It's all Africa. The modern Middle East was largely created by the British. It was they who carried the Allied war effort in the region during World War I, and who at its close principally fashioned its peace. It was a peace presaged by the nickname given to the region by covetous British leaders in wartime, and they termed it the Great Alud. Scott Anderson, you go to picturescots.com and you find this statement stated here. Let's proceed with sharing this information. Why should we bother about this? The reason why we should bother about this is that the so-called Middle East is our land, and also that it is a lie that there is a Middle East, and that there are mineral resources who, for the sake of our future generation, we must inform them and tell them the truth, that we lost the wars, and the people that are currently in those lands are not indigenous. To also demonstrate that the false claims that the modern Arabs are indigenous in the Middle East and that they came from Caucasus Mountains and Europe via Turkey. To also demonstrate that Arab nationalism, which emerged in the 1960s and now it is a silent war and an open propaganda war to annihilate the real indigenous natives, and also for cultural appropriation. To refute any claims to Asian civilization by modern Arabs, to also refute their claims that they invented numbers, the alphabet, astronomy, or science, to refute all that by facts and also by clear, straightforward evidence. They know the truth. Once you raise this issue, once you show them these images, the Sphinx and many others, they scurry away and they may try, but they will never be able to be successful. And the other level of argument is that the systems in the world continue to teach erroneous geography, which deceives billions of people. For instance, if you were to look for a map of Africa, this is the one that you always see, which cuts off Northeast Africa. And also, we must remember that for thousands of years before European geography, Arabia was part of Africa. And also that we are all correcting such deceptions and proving that we are not foreigners in any of the lands that we find on the earth, because we are autochthonous. What does it mean? It's a Greek word, yes, but it means native to the place where you are found. The whole earth is Africa. Do you know that the mother of all continents is Africa? They call it Pangaea, Gondwana land. You look at these maps, it is quite clear. And if all others accepted the lie which the party imposed, if all records told the same lie, the same tale, then the lie passes into history as truth. George Orwell, 1984. We are reversing such fallacies today. The first point is to define the inhabitants and the description of the original black Arabs. They are described in this book, Geography of Southern Africa, by Baron von Malzahn. It says here on page 121, the inhabitants of this part of Arabia nearly all belong to the race of Himyar. Their complexion is almost as black as that of the Abyssinian or Ethiopians or Africans. So how do these become indigenous? They are not. They have never been. They will never be indigenous to those lands. And on top of it all, the mass consciousness must be alerted to these facts daily, almost daily, and be reminded that without unity on a worldwide scale, we are almost going to be wiped out and removed from the earth. So these are Arab Bantus we find in the 18th and 19th century. These are the people in Yemen, the ancestors of those in Yemen that are being attacked to various machinations to wipe them out. Because this is Mansour Hadi is not indigenous to Yemen. He came from Turkey. His ancestors came from Europe. In response to Hadi's request, we are told Saudi Arabia, which is also another European or British created nation. Saudi Arabia formed a coalition that included state members with the exception of Oman and many other countries. These are not indigenous Africans, but these, our brothers in Yemen, are Africans. And the masses are numb to their suffering and their bombing and their starvation and elimination. Our channel, Hamiti Buru Ethics, continues to make efforts and say and prove and give evidence that Europeans are the rulers on the earth today. They defeated our black civilizations and ancestors in many, many wars. Too much blood has been shed, suffering and pain, and too much has been burned in fire. So if we do not understand this, we will forever be blind and self-choke ourselves into extinction. This is how indigenous Arabs looks like, known as the Qara. They vanished from the earth. And this is the war against us, indigenous Arabs, in Yemen, in Iran, Iraq, the Kurds, everywhere. We look like this. These are our brothers. So that's how we should think about it. There is the evidence. There is the Army Faisal, the Jazz Arab forces, and there is native Muscat. You look at them, they are proper indigenous Bantus. There is Saudi Arabia, and there is the men in Arabia, 15, 17. It's all Africa. We are under attack in Yemen, in Saudi Arabia. We have been displaced in many, many places in Egypt. They are fighting. They want to remove all of us. There is the girl in Cairo, 1860s. Another one there, photographs and prints of Egypt and Syria, 1860s, 1920s, the New York Public Library. Look at them. They are not like what we find today. People who came from Turkey. Where did all these people go? They were neutralized. They were exterminated. They were destroyed. They are no longer there. It is time for us to restore ourselves. There's an Arab woman on donkeys, 1860s. There's a group of Bisharin before they attend at Wad Haifa in ancient Hamid, ancient Egypt. Look at them. These are us. These are all Africans. They are the leaders, all current rulers in so-called Arab world do not look like that or like that. They look like that. They are Europeans who came from the Caucasus Mountain. Some came from Far East Asia via Turkey. They are not indigenous. The modern rulers and ruling elites in the former lands of black civilizations are not who they claim to be. Specifically, those of Egypt are not Egyptians. Those of North Africa are not Berbers. Those of Arabia are not Arabs. Those of Palestine are not Hebrews. Those of Lebanon are not Phoenicians. Those of Iraq are not Mesopotamians. Those of Iran are not Persians or Elamites. Those of Turkey are not Anatolians. They are all Central Asian Turks. Is this why then Saudi has fought a coalition to destroy Yemenites in Africa? Or why Iran is exterminating Arab minorities? Why they are sponsoring terrorist insurgencies in East and West Africa? Yes, that's your answer. Yet our African leaders are quiet. They are foreign rulers. This is how indigenous Arabian looked like. Straightforward. So when you compare him with all the others, you realize that the others are invaders. Facts are clear that in earlier times, Greeks and Romans settled in these lands. And in North Africa, they were followed by Alans, Vandals, and the Goths. And also in the 19th century, the French and Italians invaded and settled in North Africa, and with understanding that when the Turks of the Ottoman Empire relinquished the hegemony over those lands after World War I, they and the European powers merely handed over power to local tech elites. There is your key. They are from Turkey. They are not indigenous. And yet we have shot ourselves in the legs many times by having sellouts amongst us. So you see, this is the East Africa, right from Southern Africa, slave roots and slave areas up to India. So this is Africa. All of it. India is Africa. Maldives is Africa. Sri Lanka is Africa. Pakistan is Africa. Iran is Africa. Saudi Arabia is Africa. Yemen is Africa. Djibouti is Africa. Oman is Africa. All is Africa. Don't look at those maps that you are taught in geography. These are British colonial officials with Islamic slave traders in Zanzibar. Here, one of the far right is Hamad bin Muhammad bin Juma bin Rajab bin Muhammad bin Said Al Maghrab, more commonly known as Tipo Tip. This is Tipo Tip. See that? One of the most famous African black person slave trader. He died in 1905. We thank the ancestors for wiping him off the earth. Bantus being enslaved by Muslims who carried the Quran. Islamic Bantu enslavement never stopped. This is Arab slave traders and their captives along the Ruvuma River in today's Tanzania and Mozambique. This is 19th century engraved, you find in Wikipedia. There they are. These are black people. This is how they kill them. Just chop off their head. He's begging for mercy. And he's his own brother. We have shot and killed ourselves many times. But why? Why? Honestly, why? Wars on indigenous Arabs involved many layers. And these layers involved the leadership substitution, whitewashing, Afro-civilization, enslavement, colonization, religious deception, appropriation of cultural artifacts, appropriation of everything that is Africa. So only black Bantus were on earth about 200,000 years BCE. 36,000 years ago, new races arrived on the earth. And the original peoples today, 2020, are fighting and battling to survive. We must teach such truth and say such information to everybody. This is Preacher Rabbi Elem Tumizulu. If this is your cup of tea, shoot us an email at join@marfado.com. Let us spread this message and awaken many of our brothers. Till we meet again, I say Tatenda, Siabonga, Edupe, Enkos.